Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back for the ABCs of Horror Challenge with my review of Fear of the Dark. The ABCs of Horror is a challenge in which we make our way from A to Z. We choose horror movies that begin with each letter of the alphabet, watch them, and review them in order. I've arrived at the letter F, and F is for Fear of the Dark. Released in 2003, this is a movie I probably haven't watched since then, when I first bought the DVD. I've always loved this cover, by the way. I remembered really liking it at the time, but for some reason, I've never rewatched it. Until now. I saw the ABCs of Horror as the perfect reason to finally revisit Fear of the Dark. Within the first few minutes, it was clear why I enjoyed it so much the first time. This movie is really well done. It's a prime example of one of those films that is probably better than you'd imagine. I remember thinking that the first time too. I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. Fear of the Dark is rated PG-13, but don't let that deter you. I know a lot of people don't like PG-13 horror. This movie reminds me of a feature-length Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. And don't let that deter you either. If it's been a long time since you've watched Are You Afraid of the Dark? Let me refresh your memory. Back then, shows like that could scare the ever-living crap out of kids, and no one would bat an eye. Are You Afraid of the Dark was dark. Pun intended. And Fear of the Dark is just as dark, if not darker. Pun, again, intended. There are genuinely creepy moments, even as a gateway horror film for kids. It might actually cross the line into being too scary for many. Ryan Billings is a 12-year-old kid who has, you guessed it, a fear of the dark. It's not a typical I'm afraid of the dark sort of thing as a kid. He has a genuine condition. He even sees a doctor about it and loses sleep over it, averaging only an hour of sleep per night. Despite his age, his parents are very understanding. Linda Pearl plays his mother, Sandy. His father has the house stocked with flashlights and a generator ready to go in case they should ever lose power. Ryan also has an older brother, Dale, who is high school aged. He's played by Kevin Zegers. Dale does think Ryan is too old to be afraid of the dark, but still, he tries to be sympathetic. Rachel Skarsten, from the Birds of Prey TV series, among other things, plays Heather. She's the ultimate girl next door type of girl who goes to school with Dale. Dale invites her over to the house, and the two get a bit closer. Heather is absolutely awesome. I love how she is with Dale, but I also love how she interacts with Ryan. She's just so cool. She has the looks and the personality. Heather also has a bit of a traumatic past. Dale and Ryan's parents are going out for the night, so Dale is left in charge of Ryan. I really like the relationship between the two of them. It seems very authentic, and that's coming from someone who grew up with a younger brother. Dale is a very good older brother, despite the fact that he does think Ryan is too old to be scared. But then Dale notices slashes on Ryan's back and questions where they came from. Ryan tells him he wiped out while riding his bike, but Dale knows that's not true. You see, Ryan knows no one will believe him if he tells them why he's really afraid of the dark. But when a storm hits and all of the lights go out, Dale might find out once and for all. Despite the flashlights and the generator, the two brothers find themselves without power. With each strange occurrence, Dale gets closer and closer to believing Ryan. Then, when Heather comes by, she too will be forced to face her fear. Ryan has always been scared of the night things, and now on this dark and stormy night, they'll reveal themselves to everyone. The poor kid has a good reason to have a fear of the dark. This movie is pretty awesome, and I want to repeat, it's definitely a film that is better than you'd expect. I love that we get such a limited cast in such a limited setting. The entire movie takes place at the house. It's a cool house, too. The living room almost looks like a greenhouse with the windows. As I mentioned, I love the relationship between Dale and Ryan. Also, as stated, Heather is amazing. This is one of those movies that is perfect to watch on a dark and stormy night. I like how it utilizes different shadows and shapes to create different things in the dark. The fact of the matter is, things do look differently when the lights are out. Fear of the Dark has an approximate runtime of 86 minutes, and most of the film is building suspense. Sounds coming from other parts of the empty house, furniture moving by itself, objects and shadows appearing as other things in the dark. I also love at one point Ryan is watching The Evil Dead on TV. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Heather is pointing out the darkness of certain things in life that do not appear as dark at first glance. Folklore, nursery rhymes, even prayers. That conversation really adds some complexity to the film. Ultimately, though, it's probably the look of the night things I find coolest. Fear of the Dark definitely has a rewatchability, which is funny since I haven't rewatched it since it first came out. Admittedly, over the years, I have thought about it quite a bit. I'd say that's pretty meaningful since it's been 21 years since I had last seen it. I'm happy I decided to watch it again for the ABCs of horror. Please be sure to support everyone else participating in the challenge. And if you're interested in joining in, feel free. You can complete this challenge at your own pace. Just make sure you start with the letter A and go in order, without skipping any letters. And of course, all of the movies you watch and review for this challenge must be horror. That's why it's called the ABCs of, well, you get it. Have you seen Fear of the Dark? If so, what do you think of it? Comment below and let me know. Which horror movie starting with the letter G will I watch and review? Check back soon to find out. Until then, remember, physical media matters. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind. Subscribe.